morning. Hey, you wondered where the music was, Art? It was coming. I was just making a few adjustments back there. Good morning, everybody. I'm Bradley McCalister, founder of Spiracraft. This is Monday Methods. Good morning, Frank. Good morning, Art. Good morning, Anthony. Dwayne is in here. Good morning, Dwayne. So, hey, how is everybody on a Monday morning? I hope everybody's doing well. I think I've got everything turned on. Hey, this, I think, it's actually over on the Monday Methods wood and resin turning group page this morning. That's why I was a little late coming on with the music and all that. It popped up over in Facebook that I could play it, share it, the feed over to there. I haven't been able to get it in there before. And so I was thinking with Facebook back there in the control room, and it might be there. We'll see. We'll find out after the fact. Anyway, I hope everybody's doing well. I lost my nice, dry, cool fall weather. It went back to rain and humid and sticky this morning and yuck and nasty. And so I am back in shorts and flip-flops. I don't think I'll be turning anything to speak of today, so I'm safe in my flip-flops. Working on this piece today. This guy from last year. Okay, an unfinished piece. It is a platter. It's a hybrid platter. I don't know what I want to do with it. Probably why it's been sitting for a year. To give you a little update, insight, it's oak. The wood is oak, and it had a nasty hole in it, one thing or another. This is just dye out here on the outside. Let me flip you to the overhead, and I'll just set it back down. The outside perimeter is Spiracraft aniline dye. The inside is aniline dye and a little bit of gold chromogil. This band here is a resin cast that we did. We poured resin. It's basically black with a little bit of glitter in it. And I have the cameras on autofocus today. So because things aren't going to be spinning, so we'll see how they do. That way I thought maybe I could move it up close to a camera and show you some different things and let them focus. So inside the black resin, you can see the holographic silver glitter. That was kind of just part of the plan. Billy says, no turning. Hey, Dad, I probably can't go by without turning, but you never know. So one thing about this, and I'm going to rotate this here, you see that drip, that run over into our color field there? Going to have to try and figure out, what do I want to do with that? How am I going to either sand it away, alleviate it, add it, something like that. And then, as I alluded to, it's got this little interesting volcano hole in the middle that, for whatever reason, I decided to turn into this crazy little piece of oak. So I just don't quite know where I'm going with this yet. And I would have been I would have had some time to play with it, but I was doing something else other than that Facebook thing. Oh, snap, and it went away. What happened? I lost the feed. Let's see, on one of my monitors. Something went wrong with the display of this web page. Hang on, guys. I'm going to jump into the control panel real quick and see if I've lost Facebook. See if we had something go crazy, or if it's just the computer. I can double check that in a different way. Got to stay on top of this stuff. All right, maybe it was just that computer. It says that I'm back. So it says. Okay, maybe it was just my computer that I watched from, that I used to monitor Facebook. We'll see what happens. Oh, and I'm getting a crazy thing. Share this again. That's weird. Nope, I'm still on. Well, good. One of these days, another thing I'm going to do, I was telling Bridget the other day about this. I'm going to put this feed into the Spiracraft website so that we can just go there. Technical stuff, who knows what's going to happen. And I am going to run back over there and fix that screen because it's going to drive me nuts. It's got a mouse arrow and a bar on it. So let me jump in there real quick. Again, I'm going to pop this in the overhead just while I finagle real quick with these details. When my producer gets in, he'll take care of all this stuff for me. But until then, it'll just be me. So let's get this page cleared up so it doesn't drive me nuts. What's the big pile of leaves in front of the barn? Beats me, Art. Big pile of leaves in front of the barn. Well, that would be fall. That's a tree. Those are trees, Art. Those are fall colors on the trees. Anyway, so I don't know what I want to do with this guy today. Oh, what I was saying before the thing went crashing on me, I put new compressed air in here. So I have reliable compressed air. I know it seems like a minor thing, but I brought back a couple of compressors, or air compressors and tanks and hoses and all from Colorado, and I was hooking one up out there in the heat and the humidity this morning, but I finally got fresh new air with lots of PSI, 125 right here, and it doesn't blink out. So that's a major upgrade. I can blow dust out of things. So I am, as I said in the post about today, I'm open to ideas on what I want to do with this thing, and I'm going to punch you back into the overhead again to where you can look at it, and let's think about this. And I do want to mount it on the chuck. I'm curious to see if I can turn it. I don't know how warped it is. So I'm betting that this has an Easywood Tools 3.5-inch tenon on it. It's kind of a mess on the backside. So let me get my chisel out. And I'm going to clean the back of this up just a little bit to see if we can get it to mount. I don't know how much it's warped, probably a lot. But if I can get it to where it'll spin, that'll give me some more latitude on how I want to attack this guy today. So telling you about the air compressor and the airline and all that, that was my feeble attempt at an excuse for not having a real plan on this. And that's all I got to say about that. Little bit of a hump right there. And those big old bumps back there. All right, so this was in an easy chuck. I've got one floating around right here. Hey, John Phillips, JP, as he is known or was known. JP, I'm going to always call you JP. Do you still go by JP or do you go by John Phillips now? Now that you've all grown up and all that good stuff. Mr. Phillips and I worked together years ago in another life in the rafting industry. And we had far too much fun in a lot of things we did. I need to clean up the back of this chuck too. All my stuff gets, all my tools and equipment they have a hard life. They get run hard out here. And I openly admit that. It's kind of fun watching a 20-second delay. I'm still watching what I was doing a few minutes ago, 20 seconds ago. And we need to change out the jaws on this guy as well, because it's got some long nose jaws on it. About the only thing that I have organized in this studio some days, it seems like, is my Easywood chuck drawer, because it's got a foam liner that holds all the jaws. Keeps me organized. All right. Chugging along. Oh, I got one more thing. I know for those of you who follow me here, come out and visit with me on a regular basis, I finally found my extension for boring with Forstner bits this morning. So the next time I do a hollow form, let's see, this I'll be right side up for you guys. Finally found my extension. peppermill boring kit for boring. This is the Colt drill bits, which of course are, to my knowledge, no longer available. But I found that, finally found my extension. I know, small. It's the small things in life that make us happy, right? So we'll pop this in here and see. Hey, Rich Bolduke, how you doing, man? Good to see you. I just want to see if this thing is turnable still or not. Because I might go inside here. Go to the end. I might go inside here and it's thin. That's why I'm not sure. It's pretty dang flat still. Dry as it is. So I'm tempted to turn some of this color away and turn that resin away. So, Dad, you might be lucky, and I might go ahead and turn anyway, but I'll do it in my flip-flops. If Graham Brill can get away with it, I'll get away with it. Let's see what happens when we put a little speed on this. Oh, yeah. That gives me, it's out around, but it's pretty flat. Which means I'm going to actually have to put that camera into manual focus as well. So let me do that. I'm just going to pop myself back up on the screen and stand over here and put this camera into manual focus so that it doesn't go wacky. There we go. So now let's go back to the end camera. There is this resin that dripped out. These knot holes here. This cone. Do I want to keep the cone? Do I want to turn it away? Hey, Roy made it. You got your bowl saver last week. Excellent. Good to see you, Roy. I know you said you're done with your chemo and feeling well. That's good. One thing that we want to check here. I'm going to reach over here, my arm a little bit, just so I know just what my thickness in here really is. And I'll pop you in the overhead. So as you can see up against the blue there, or even better over the bed, this thing is about 1/4 inch thick. So not a whole lot of extra. I mean, if you're making a hat, well, yeah, that is 20 times too thick. But we're not making a hat, and I can assure you it's not flat. But it does mean that I can clean this up a little bit. And part of me, because it's faster to turn away some stuff than it is to sand it away. Plus, I hate sanding, and I really don't like to sand in here with all the electronics. As a matter of fact, with my new air compressor, I blew a bunch of stuff off this morning about 10:30, and then I just went off to the convenience store and got a fresh soda and let the dust settle because I don't have my dust collector overhead in yet. It's still at the trailer. To suck the dust out of here, but I do have one. So I just left for a little while and let the dust settle, then I blew the camera lenses off and all that. So I think I want to try and clean this up. Now, I know that I'm going to get an uneven, it's going to take some of the color off and some of it not. But I want to see about turning this. This is one of the things about, say you change your mind or you don't know, and like in this case, you don't know what you're going to do with it. And I've been kind of just playing with it on and off over time. And I need a part for my banjo, which is hiding over here. So to be able to return something is handy, and especially if it didn't warp so bad out of shape that you can't turn it again. Still JP and still doing goofy stuff. Well, that's good. That's what I like to hear, JP. JP, I don't know if you're going to make it. JP and I worked for a rafting company. It was more than a rafting company. It is more a rafting company. It was we'll call it an outdoor adventure company. Little life story here. Outdoor adventure company called the Nantahala Outdoor Center. And it's up outside of Bryson City, North Carolina, in the Nantahala Gorge on the Nantahala River. And I went to work there in 1979. And it was founded in 72. And so next year it's going to be 50 years old. And they're having a 50-year celebration. One for the staff in the spring and another one for the public in the fall. So 50 years of a company in the rafting industry. It'll be a lot of fun. And I'm going to turn on my fan. I need my breeze here. And so JP and I, we go way back to those days of the outdoor adventure. Rock climbing, canoeing, kayaking, mountain biking, anything in the outdoor adventure world is what we did. What we got paid to work. We worked and everybody else was having fun, but we had a great time. It was long before I was turning, but I was woodworking. I've been a woodworker since I was a little kid with my dad. Okay, so since we've come to the conclusion that this guy will spin safely and somewhat true, let's find a speed. And let's also see how it looks in the camera. And I might zoom that. Well, I shouldn't zoom that camera now that I set the focus. So I think I'll just leave it there. You get to see some of the messy studio. So I'll pop you in there. That's 750. Okay. So that's not too bad. All right, so what are we going to attack this with? Well, we've got resin here. I think I'll go in with an Easy Wood Tools, a round style cutter. Initially, I will use a negative rake cutter because it is resin, and I want to have the negative rake cutters. It looks the same. The negative rake cutters are less aggressive on wood, and so I don't want to be getting after this real hard. So I'm going to use a negative rake cutter. I have no idea if it's sharp after the last time I used it or not, but we will find out. Because I really kind of want to change the color of this. Plus, I want to clean that up, and so that's why I want to do this. Again, as I talked about in the intro, in the post for today, I can't remember exactly the words I use, but releasing your inner creative artist type thing. If you're working on a project and you don't like the way it works, so to come up with really unique and interesting things, sometimes some of the things you try don't work out so well. I think the popular thing is to call it a fail. I don't consider it a fail at all. It just wasn't the right combination of elements or colors. And so going back and readdressing what you're working on, taking another approach, you step back, whether you step back for an hour, a day, a week, or a year, as I did in this case. Step back, think about it, come at it, try something different. This particular piece of wood is nothing expensive or anything like that, so I could afford to lose it. I don't want to. It's pretty cool. Yes, Mark Thompson, a lesson learned. So readdress it. Try again, try something different, and it may get better. You hope it does. We always hope things go in the forward direction, leaning towards what we're more pleased with. But this is how we learn, by trying things. And if it didn't work the first time, or didn't come out with what you thought was a great idea, it turns out not to be such a great idea, that's okay. And that's one of the things I like to show here. It's okay for things not to work right. And so we readdressed it again, which is what we're doing today. And I'm going to just clean this up. I'm going to see what happens. I have no idea how it'll turn. We'll find out. I do have my goggles, even if I don't have shoes on today. I consider flip-flops shoes. I live in them. So that's just me, guys. So we're turning about 750 or so.
Make sure everything is locked down because I've been changing things around a lot in here. I see that was loose. Alright. So we know that the resin chunk is out here. Let's see what we get. Again, we're checking, we're at the center. We're going to come right out here. And you can hear that it's, you know, it's not perfectly round or flat. But we're not trying to take a lot off of this either. It's also got some holes in it. So we're getting about 50% right now. And these, I remember now, I filled these holes with some blue resin way back when. So you know, I may end up leaving part of this color here. That's okay. What I want to do is get uniform all the way around. And hopefully I don't cut through this crazy thing. Okay. So we're just going to stay in this area until we get this flat. Again, a lot of this is because I wanted to clean up that blob, which is gone now. But once we're committed, so now we have this nice, you know, we're getting some clean wood here. If we end up, as we are here, oh, there's that compressor. Hopefully it's not too loud for you guys. This oak is really porous and big open grain. If we have a little color left in there, hey, that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. I'm going to rotate this cutter just for fun. I'm going to say I don't know what I've been doing with it, how sharp it is or not. No need to change it. I'm not doing anything crazy here. So I just give it a quick rotation. I cleaned out the screw hole with my trusty ice pick that I can't function without. Drop the tool on the floor. Good thing I swept up a bunch of stuff. I took 5 bags of chips out of here after the hollowing. And I also now have back with me my industrial shop vac. Some of you may not know that in Colorado I had another entire workshop. I actually had a wood shop and an upholstery shop all out there in the same place. And so I brought back a whole bunch of equipment that I've had over the years. I just don't have anywhere to put it around here right now. Do you notice anything different about that cut? When I rotated the cutter just then, it took a lot more material, so it was that other edge that I was working with was not as sharp. Okay. What was that? My ice pick. Now, one thing to keep in mind. So this piece is really thin. It's pretty thick out here. And it's fairly thin through here, and it thickens back up. So this is the thinnest part, and I'm making it even thinner. As I do, it's going to take away structure if I want to work on the outside, because this is getting so thin. If I put pressure with a tool out here, I run a risk
an acknowledged and accepted risk of more vibration when I try and do something out here, but I have no plans to touch this outer edge. This resin, there's a lip here. I may blend this resin away into here. It's one thought that I'm having as I'm standing here. Matter of fact, now that I said that, and I was rubbing my hand on there, there's a lip here, so I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna angle this, and I'm gonna open this back up, open this resin back up. Good thing I had to have a negative rake in hand. This is the hybrid part of this piece, being resin and wood makes it a hybrid. Take a look and see what we got going on in there. So you can see I'm getting some vibration. I told you about that flex. Now if I wanted texture, hey, I'm getting free texture on that. Ain't that cool? Not that I was looking for texture, but that's because this is got flex in it now out here, because it's, one, is so big, and two, I've taken away some more material. Not that I've taken away a lot. Okay. So now I'm going to switch over to a radiused negative rake, kind of a square style, thought of more for the finishing. Put it up against there. I know we're kind of far away. See if it'll help take away some of that chatter. It's a little bit better. Still getting some chatter because of the flex. So I'm going to try one other thing. I'm going to live a little dangerously. I'm going to turn my speed up and see if if it makes my chatter better, i.e. less chatter, or if it increases it. Typically, higher speed will give us a better cut. So if I can get a better cut and lose the chatter. This is plenty thick. I'm not worried about that. It's a matter of the pressure that I'm putting on it. So that definitely takes away. I've got just a little bit of chatter mark. So by increasing my speed, and I went up to over 1,000. Yeah, I went up to 1,100. It's taken away some of that chatter, and I'm also making a lighter cut. So the lighter cut puts less pressure on and stops the flexing. And I can almost get up in this corner with this square style radius tool. And granted, you can sand that chatter away, but who wants to, right? Okay. Alright, I'm going to try and get rid of the last of the chatter out here. Then I'm going to come in and clean this up. And I may have, and I have a fresh CI2 radius negative rake cutter. And I'm going to put that on here in a second to try and get the best cut that I possibly can. Let's do that. Let's take a break. And I'm going to change out this radius cutter, which is giving me the best finish right now because of its shape. And I'm going to go ahead and put a brand new fresh cutter on it. And I've got one right here. And so we'll make a change. We'll take a little break. And a good time for questions. Any questions, comments, insights, ideas that you think, things that you would like I do with this, directions to go with it. I'm wide open. That's kind of what today is about. Oh, hey, let's be trendy. We're reimagining this piece, right? We're not going to repurpose it because it doesn't have a particular purpose yet, so we can't repurpose it, but we can reimagine it. Boy, don't I feel all 21st century. Okay. Stay. We'll get a fresh CI2R2NR EasyWood Tools negative rake cutter. You got to make sure you get that whole long name in there. I got resin chips all over me. All right. Now, because I haven't been turning any wet wood with this, I'm going to use the same screw, and I'm not going to put any grease on it or anything like that. Negative rake cutters, I can't imagine I've ever been around wet stuff with them. So we'll pop this in there. I hope everybody's enjoying the fall season if you're having one. I know, Rich, you're down in Florida. You never get fall down there. I grew up where Rich lives. Rich just works with Nova Technitool, and he's in Clearwater, and I grew up in Clearwater. And I remember in high school we had snow down there in St. Pete, Clearwater, Tampa, and actually made probably the dirtiest snowman you've ever seen. Snow and dirt. And I remember driving to school in the morning. We had fall up in Massachusetts. Yeah, but you're not in Massachusetts these days. I gotta rub it in. But I'm going down there to swim in the pool, right? I'm going down there to have fun. But yeah, we had snow in Florida one time when I was in high school. It'd be 77, 78, 76, whatever it was. And I was driving a Volkswagen Beetle with 50 series profile tires on it. Didn't have exactly the right traction, but hey, it was fun. Had a good time. Okay, fresh cutter on the roughing style tool, square tool with EasyWood. So we're going to get as clean and good a cut as we can possibly get. Art says it's a beautiful day at the Jersey Shore. Art, we're going to come visit you someday on the Jersey Shore. I don't know when, but we are going to come visit someday on the Jersey Shore. I'm going to the South Carolina shore this weekend for a little weekend disappearing act. We're on the end camera? Okay, we are indeed. So I'm going to make just as clean a cut as I possibly can here. You can still hear that vibration. And see what we're getting. Actually picked more back up. It didn't work the way I wanted it to. I got less vibration. Ow! Don't do that. What was on the back of that? I was going to put my hand back there. Chunk of resin back there. See if I can't stabilize this a little bit. I changed cutters and I got more vibration.
So I've got my fingers just behind this, just for a little support. Clean it had helped a little bit. Now I've got some tool mark grooves right in here, and I don't know. I think my radius is okay that I can clean these up. Again, I may get some vibration in the overhead. You won't be able to see that. And you've seen me before use the leading edge of a radius cutter to cut with. I don't have a problem with that. Like I am right there. So that's this really strange kind of blue resin that I've got in there in those knots. So the question is, do we dare try and get all that color out of there? We're going to go back to the round here for a second. Just a little hint right up here in the top edge. Art says leave the color. Well, some of it, Art's going to stay. I can't get rid of all of it. Now, I'm thinking about changing colors over here. I just want it to be to your point there, Art. I don't mind leaving the color down in here. I just wanted, I had some bands of it there still. Okay. So my big dilemma, I really have this dilemma about, should I leave this cone in the center or should I take it away? And I've got a little bit of profile weirdness right here, probably because of the thickness. So let's see what happens here. If we go a little further with this. So that's down in there. Here's what I'm going to try. I know it's risky. I'm going to take a parting tool. No, I'll take a detail tool. Take an easy wood detail tool. And I'm going to make a real fine line. I may regret this. That's so thin. I don't want to go too far with that. Oh, and one other thing I need to point out, mention that could happen today, gang. I thought I had the batteries for the headset in the charger all week, and it turns out that I didn't. I think I had charged them for the upcoming Thursday, so hopefully my batteries don't die. If they die, just let me know in the chat column that the batteries have gone. I think I have a spare set over there. I didn't realize that till literally I was turning everything on to go live. Just a quick heads up on that. If my sound goes away, it's because my batteries died. Okay, back over here to our funky piece. So I kind of like now
almost the natural back in here. We have this one spot here, but this is all Funkadelic in here anyway. So I think I might keep going a little bit and see if I don't get a cleaner line for the roundness of this. It would be kind of fun to leave this natural in a way, because I've got this natural organic knots in this, and I've got some resin filler in there. So it might be kind of cool to leave that in a natural state and just put a clear finish on that. I still don't know what I want to do with the center of this thing. So I'm going to go a little bit further here and see what happens. You know, when you're standing over top of it, you'll never know that it's not round. You can see the outer roundness when it's spinning, but you'll never see that when it's sitting still. And I say the outer roundness in the color. So I'm going to go a little further because I want to expose a little bit more of this natural knot. I mean, there's another one right there, but this is the biggest one. So let's go a little bit further with taking our magenta away. Now here's another question I have for you. We've got some brown dye that might make this look really nice. I'm going to bring a piece of wood out and show you this brown dye on some maple. And I want to get an opinion. Now this is oak, I understand. And I was looking about almost playing with this today as well. So this is a brown Spiracraft aniline dye that I added to this ambrosia maple. And I'm wondering if it would be interesting to dye this with a brown to give it a real nice natural tone into that oak against our black resin that we've got here and our magenta there, especially if we don't get a clean line there, it would kind of help blend that in. So I'm open to thoughts on a little additional brown as opposed to just a raw natural oak. You guys let me know what you think. Don't be shy. Don't be bashful. All right. I'm going to take a little bit more out of here. I have exposed that knot now, like I wanted to. Art says add the brown. So I've got a really nice clean line here. I've actually cut it to a clean line. And I can probably paint that brown where it doesn't bleed over, although I should probably put a sealer on it first. And then of course, here's the other question. Do I just take all this magenta off and make the whole center brown and have my this blue out here? This actually has, this blue has some silver in the grain. I put some silver chroma gilt accent cream paste in the grain there. So do we take all the magenta off of here and just leave some hiding in there? Again, lots of different things that we can do, kind of like this. This is really thin. Again, I'm trying to decide, you know, what am I going to do with this? I had thought about putting It'll, like, if I wanted to use this as a chip thing, you know, with a handle in it, or I can take it away and just make it a nice smooth platter. With some of this magenta color running through it. Is there a hole in the center? Well, it doesn't go all the way through, Art. It just goes down in here. This is a cone. This comes up about an inch up here on. So it's kind of like a volcano, but it doesn't go all the way through. The hole doesn't go all the way through. It's kind of interesting having the magenta in the grain. If I take this, if I turn all this away and just dye it brown, there's something I want to do to this, and I haven't decided what it is. And I don't want a texture wheel. I don't want to put a texture wheel on this because I'm actually thinking about that you would use it and would want to. You might want to wipe it down and clean it, so I don't want to have a lot of heavy texture to it. Art says, my vote, make it flat, leave the streaks, add the brown. Okay. Art has expressed his vote. I'm curious to see if I can get this vibration out of here with this round cutter or not. The other thing, here's another thing I think I want to do. Because I'm having fun exposing this brown, I think I'm going to open up another brown band, or a natural band right here. And I'm going to take a detail tool. My dad says leave the magenta. Okay. Detail tool. And I'm going to take away some of this edge right here. That was kind of holding the resin in place. So the more I take of this away, the more I'm going to highlight that black band of resin. So I'm kind of blending that hard edge away. I think so that now the black resin band is a highlight. The question is, how much do we leave? I think we leave this. Lift up my mask so I don't sound so strange. I think we leave that fairly small. Still have my goggles on. Working in a super light touch there. All right, so I kind of I got resin on my tongue, resin flakes on my tongue. I'm kind of leaning with my pop on this one, Art, that I'm about leaving the magenta in the center here. But I'm gonna grab a piece of sandpaper. Actually, if I can get the tape off it, I actually brought back a sandpaper. I brought back all kinds of stuff from Colorado, guys, that I haven't had around. I got to find my way in. And say I had an entire wood shop and upholstery shop and a boat shop. Inflatable boats, upholstery, and wood. All in Colorado in shops. Anyway, I brought back some sandpaper. Novel concept. I hate sanding. But nonetheless. All I gotta do is get in here. This must have been my dad's bin. Dad, this must be your bin of paper. It's all used. Long story there. When I was doing art and craft shows, I'd do a lot of work out of the shop at my dad's house there up in North Georgia. And when I would use up a piece of sandpaper, I'd throw it on the floor and Dad would pick it up and put it in his box. He can hit me the next time he sees me. So I'm just going to sand this with some 180 real light. That cleans up pretty quick. Okay, and I actually down here underneath the table have an electric sander, believe it or not. See me poking around down here to my power outlet. Of course, maybe the sander doesn't work with that power outlet. 110 is dead. Let's see. That goes to a light. I'm going to try to see if the sander's dead. Yeah, sander's dead. Okay. So much for that. We won't be sanding with that sander. I might as well go ahead and throw that one in the trash. I thought I had another one in here, but I guess I don't. Well, we'll do a little hand sanding. What camera am I on? I'm on no camera. Let's go to the end camera. I hit the wrong button. My producer hit the wrong button. Yeah, I turned myself off. I don't know. I guess I was aiming for 3 and I hit that. I was reading up on some new software this morning for all this stuff. They're always trying to throw you something new, new at you. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and sand this thing to the degree it needs to be. But I am curious to see how this looks with the brown on it. So now we bring out our great new compressed air. that really works. Okay. I think I'm in the end camera. I'm gonna put this in the overhead. I'm gonna take it out of the chuck. And again, this needs some more sanding, but just for what we're doing here today, I'm gonna go ahead and put the brown dye on this guy. So I'll pop you here. What time we got? 11, 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock straight up. Okay. We have time to continue our experiments. So we put this in the overhead. I can see there's still a little bit of magenta down in that line there. Show it to you. So you can see we got this funny blue long time ago for one of the early Monday methods. Put some color on the jaws. That's got some rust on it. That'll make the Easywood folks not happy that I got their jaws rusty. But I was gone for 3 months, pretty much. I'll take it out of the picture. And those jaws, in their defense, were left in a piece that I had been doing Rustina, with Rustina and the spray and the oxidants, etc. So Baldwin hit the wrong button on the set as well. Yeah, Dad, he didn't hit a button though. He hit a trigger and killed a guy. I hope I never go there. All right, back into the overhead. I'm going to go over to my cabinet, my infamous cabinet, and find the brown dye. And there's 1,000,001 things we could do with this, 1,000,001. So never give up on what you think might be what you want to do. And if I don't like the brown, well, I can do something else over top of it. So I've got a little brush, and now I want a big brush. Without having to go next door. My airbrushes are still in a box from SWAT. That's how far along I am, or not am. Okay, so what have we got? We got the Spiracraft Nick Agar Signature Series. This is the brown aniline dye. Roy says, Roy, Jet makes a MIDI lathe that swivels 360 so that you could make a bench and you could turn sitting down. It's not as big as my other lathe, but do you think it would work? If they make one that swivels and you can sit down and it's the right height, Roy, that's the key, is can you get yourself at the right height with whatever you're sitting in, sitting on. Let's see, a MIDI swivels 360. You make a bench, sitting down. Yeah, you know, I would try it. It sounds like it has a chance of working there, Roy. So I would look into it. What if you can find one somewhere that you can like go, in the store, or somebody that's got one in a club or whatever, and take your chair or your bench height that see if they would let you give it a try, especially a used one. See if the concept is going to work for you. That would probably be the best way to go about it. That's what I would try and do. See if you can't, go sit down at one with something where you can give it a little bit of a test and see how it feels. Again, you know, the issue is going to be getting your elbows to a degree at the height of the axis of the lathe, or having to learn to work around that issue with your arms up higher, something like that. So let me know, let me know what you find there. All right, so I've got just a little teeny brush here, and I'm going to just start on this outer line right here. And I'm going to do this by hand. Like I say, my air brushes, again, I couldn't spray this clean anyway. And this is a really high quality art brush. Not. You see a little bit of bleed over happening down here, but that wood is pretty well sealed. I don't think it'll be an issue. If it turns out to be, well, then we'll deal. The die is always going to want to run through the end grains, and I didn't seal this. I didn't put a sealer on it, which would help. Now it's like I'm not worried about it running into the resin. A sealer up here would have helped stop that from trying to run into that blue out there. But what I think we'll do, because we've got enough time. If I get this whole thing dyed, I may, even though I haven't sanded everything, I might hit it. You know how I do. I'll hit it with a coat of clear. This dye will dry really quick, and kind of see if we like the concept or not. Let me know if my head is in the way. So I'm gonna move over here a little bit and keep my head out of the way as much as I can. Now this dye will, like I said, dry really quick. And we can spray a little clear on it. I'm looking to see. Yeah, I've got some gloss. I've also got some satin. This might be a good piece for satin because we've got all the texture in the oak. And I can show you, I'm going to stop here for a second, if I can real quick find my denatured alcohol, and maybe I can't. I was going to show you what that resin will look like. Let me look over here real quick. Yep, I have just a little teeny bit. Just want to show you this. Kind of curious myself. That kind of gives you an idea. Looks like the glitter has disappeared, although there's some other interesting colors down in that resin. And this doesn't make it shiny, but it does give you an idea of the color of it. Definitely just a kind of a dark, natural color down in there. So Zelion, is the lathe on the bar stool at the bar, or is it out in the shop? That would be a $64 question there. And also, it's good to see you. Glad you dropped in today. Trying to, like I say, trying to keep my head out of the way. This piece is pretty far across, but I've got my best caffeine steady hand going. See if we can't get a little faster here, a little closer to me. Just buzz right along. Getting ready to repaint the hallway in my house. I need to practice up my cutting edge anyway. I think we've been in the house 7 years. It's time to repaint the hallway. Actually, we're repainting a bunch of the house inside. When we first moved to the house, I voted for kind of a mint green in what we call the keeping room. You might call it a living room. And time to change the mint green. So in the studio, but need a kegerator in there also. Yeah, I understand that. I won't talk about the safety issues there. I'll let you just read up on that and make your own decisions. Now, had I put a sealer on there, and this isn't bleeding bad at all. Had I put a sealer on it, it would have definitely, and I would put 2 coats of the Spiracraft clear sealer on, and that'll stop that from running down through that grain and over into another color area. But that takes time, and we've only got 2 hours. When I put this brown on that piece of maple, I was really impressed with what it did. You know, Spiracraft has always carried the brown dye, and I never really messed with it. And I put it on that piece of ambrosia maple, and I thought, wow, that was really cool. And my dad says that he thinks one way makes a lathe that you can sit at. We know that Robust does make one that rotates down, but it's kind of hard to get a hold of. I know Roy had talked to Robust, and that didn't seem to work out as an option. So he's looking for something else. I'm so glad that Roy is doing better. Roy, that you're feeling better, doing well. Back to making stuff and having fun. Doing all the stuff you're supposed to be doing. Not that other stuff. So I got around this outside pretty quick, all things considered. All right, so that's that. Now, I really need to find a bigger brush. I can run around this perimeter here, but I'd like to do it all as quickly as possible. So, I'm going to run next door real quick, because I'm certain I have some 1-inch chip brushes over there, so that I can cover a bunch of ground on the center section of this. So I'm going to leave you in the overhead. I'll be right back. It's literally 15 feet away. So I will be back in just a sec. Of course, that helps if you have the keys. They were in the studio door, not in my pocket, where they were supposed to be. Somebody needs to clean that place up. It is a mess. But luckily, like I said, it's not far away. I can zip right over there and zip right back. Okay, just a chip brush, nothing fancy. The reason being, I want to keep this as wet as I can as I go. Okay, we'll see what kind of line I can get with this. I'd like to try and get it all with the 1-inch brush in one pass, so to speak. We'll see what happens. Again, I'm getting some over on the resin, but I'm not worried about that because that resin's going to get sanded again. Come around right up against the magenta. Take that excess on around. I got plenty out there. I'm going to put this off to the side. It definitely make those knots pop. I'll get my head out of the way. That's one of the cool things about using this brown is it makes those knots really jump. And I may have to come back with my little brush if I don't get all the edges just the way I want them on this. Got that one spot right up there that's fighting me. There we go. So again, I want to move as quickly as possible because I don't want it to look like I'm end up with 2 coats where I started and stopped. But then again, you can only go so fast. Yeah, it won't claim perfection with a 49-cent chip brush from Harbor Freight. But we definitely get the idea here. This over here so my head won't get in the way so much. Oop, get up on there. So this resin that I've put in here, you know, the resin will take the dye. It's amazing that it will. But you can actually dye the resin. Yeah, I've done some of the other Monday methods where I dyed the resin on purpose. Didn't want that one on there. Hazard of not masking off the extra areas. So this won't take long to dry, and then we'll spray some lacquer on it. We're going to spray some satin on here. In this dust-free environment. Sorry if my head was in the way on that, I'll turn that. Just kind of pull that around. Splatter the magenta. I don't think so. I think I'll pass on that one. What I'm trying to do is get this all wet. Have a relatively uniform. Don't get too much up on there. Again, I'll take that off. But anyway, trying to get this uniform, I like to try and keep it wet all the way around. Or on the entire piece. Yeah, get my little brush out here. Again, if I wanted to blend, I could. If I used the airbrush, I could, which is still in a box. You could blend these colors together and have a unique look as well. You see the darkness in the tool marks here, and from the tool marks. So we'll darken this up a little bit right in here. It definitely makes the grain pop more by putting the dye on. There's no question about that. All right, and if I turn this up, I'm going to turn it up on its side. Then my fan is going to blow on it. And I'll put it also, I'll put on the end camera, and we'll watch and make sure that if there's anything trying to run, which I don't think there will be, and that'll dry real quick. And we'll just keep wiping this excess around. Blow some ink on it. Jerry, you're hiding in the corners back there, Jerry. How you doing, bud? I don't have any ink to blow on it right now. I need to run to Hobby Lobby. That would only take an hour and a half or so. Good old Jerry Meesmer's in here. Jerry, I was looking forward to seeing you at the North Carolina Symposium, and they finally got a hold of me and let me know that there was no symposium going to happen. Hey, Michael's popping in. Michael McEwen from the far west of Canada. But yeah, Jerry, I was looking forward to seeing you up there in North Carolina. I guess not this weekend, the next, and that didn't happen. Didn't happen. So that was unfortunate. The North Carolina Symposium is not going to take place this year. Jerry, do you know if they plan to try and do it next year? If you can pop in there and say if you think, I know you're kind of closer to the source, if they're going to do it and try and do it in 2023, I guess it would be, or not, or if they don't know. As you can see, this is drying down. I'm going to put a little bit more. I'm going to try and even this out a little bit more. I don't like the way some of it looks. So while we're talking here and letting this other dry, I'm going to blend a little bit more around on here. That's the one thing about dyes. You want to do the whole area wet to get the same look everywhere. And this oak is like a sponge. So, you know, the brown against the magenta, well, you know, we'll find out if we're going to think that was a good look or not. Again, there's still enough wood on here. We can turn it away. We could do a... I had this other thought. You're looking at the top of my head. I had this other thought this morning. I should have some Waco. Well, Jerry, it's in that box of airbrush supplies that I was talking about that is over in my van still. So I do have some then, but it's not in the studio here. I was thinking about turning some rings, turning something a certain diameter camera. Well, you don't need to see that, Dad, right now. It's just kind of sitting there doing its thing, getting browner, and I'm just kind of blending that in a little bit. I was going to turn a piece and then slice some rings off and make some bands maybe to put on here, some raised bands in different colors. That was another thought that I had, and it's something that I might still do. You know, as I'm watching this dry in the colors, I'm second guessing the brown here a little bit now. Now that I've done it, and we'll see. Now it needs a highlight of another color, and what I might do is put a black band right here. I'll take a marker and try and put a black band and delineate this. Let's do that. While this is drying, let's have a little more fun. Let's see if we can't do some other things to this, because we've got time. We've still got about 30 minutes to kind of play with this. Bands, or graduations. I think either one. I think either one would do the trick. So I've put it back in the chuck. And we're going to put it on spin cycle, as you can see there. And while it's spinning and drying, I'm going to go look for a marker or three just to make like a darker band. I got a black one, regular good old everyday Sharpie right there. Which that's all about. I'm not going to be able to use any bright colors anyway. I don't think I have a black aniline dye, but this will do the trick. So I'm going to slide this right up here. Kind of clean that edge up. Markers are great for this kind of thing. If you've got a transition that doesn't look all that great, take a marker. I need to get a little bit deeper right there. Markers will let you do, I've done amazing things, not that I'm amazing, but I've done amazing things on small pieces, doing highlights with markers. Like I'm going to take this marker and come up here to the resin. This thing's, it's definitely not as true in the chuck. Let me see if I can't rechuck that real quick. It still did the trick there in the center section. Find another marker here real quick. Yeah, Jerry, I still haven't unpacked completely from Waco. I know you might find that hard to believe or absolutely 100% easy to believe that I haven't unpacked from a road trip somewhere. There we go. There's a little magenta. So I'm just breaking up these transitions. So don't push the nib all the way down into the piece. And it helps crisp up the lines. Just a little bit. All right, I'm kind of curious to see what happens when finish gets on here. You are way behind, Jerry. I stay way behind. I stay way behind. Or I'm so far behind I'm ahead. So see, I'm already packed for the next time I need to go out on the road. I'm already packed for the next time I need to get on the road. It's already in the van. And this will probably kick on my compressor, but I'm going to blow a little extra breeze on this. I could light it on fire. So we're going to push, oak must be out of sycamore. No, this is an old piece, Joe. Old piece. I think I started turning on this 2 years ago out here. So there's what it's looking like in the overhead right now. Yeah, Joe, I wish I was out of oak. So I just want to spray a little bit of satin. I'm going to spray satin on this. Satin lacquer. So believe it or not, I'm actually going to put something on the ways of my lathe because this thing's so big. I got just a piece of junky OSB here. Yeah, so that I don't get anything on it. Again, I'm not super happy with that extra dark band right there. But then again, maybe it'll lend some character to it. So you're getting ready for Christmas in the shop, Jerry? Are you full time in the shop or just when you're done with work at the end of the day? Jerry does fantastic work, birdhouses. You're making gecko houses now, right? Jerry was a hat turner, is a hat turner, and then the state of North Carolina started having him make or buying his bird houses, and he makes them 100 by the hundreds, tons of bird houses. Jerry, I don't know what's your website. If you want to pop your website address up there for folks in the chat column, that would be great. So that if they want to see your stuff, your work, because you really do some cool stuff. All right, so that is going to be that. Again, I'm pushing this a little bit because of the TikTok. So this is a satin that doesn't spray. There we go. So one thing is, and I don't know if you'll be able to see it, I'll have to hold it up. The resin definitely comes to life. When the clear hits it. Even though it's a satin, you can see all the goofy stuff I poured into that resin. I'm going to reach across here. Let me just turn this like a lazy Susan. And this outer band, again, it is violet. This outer band out here is violet with silver in the grain. Silver accent paste. It's been so long I can't remember if I used accent paste or chroma gilt, to be quite honest. Spray that magenta in the center. You can see those, I know you got the funny angle on it. And I'll hold this up closer to the camera for you. Again, this is satin, so it's not going to be shiny, plus it's just the first coat. The other thing I might do is put it back on the lathe and put it in the end camera and spray at it. So though I'm not an oak fan, when it's this dark, it's okay. I hate it at McDonald's. When McDonald's was doing all their restaurants in oak, I thought it was pretty bad. But this piece of oak looks like it's been a piece of furniture now for a couple of 100 years with the dye on it. Trying to find a way to have it not have a light shimmer on it. Jerry says, just Facebook. I'm not sure I'm smart enough to keep a website. Oh, yes, you are, Jerry. I'll do one for you in my spare time. How's that? When I got nothing going on, I'll put you a website together and administer it for you and everything. But it'll have to be in my spare time. Okay, so let me see what I'm curious. All right, Art, thank you for coming in. Let's see how that looks. The light's not quite so harsh on it on the end. So I'm going to pop it back into the chuck and put it on the end for you as well, just to give you a different view. It still needs something in the middle. And I'm just thinking out loud. Yeah. Jerry and I are the only two that I'm aware of that have been thrown out of a McDonald's. We got kicked out of McDonald's in Waco, Texas in August. We were thrown out for eating breakfast in a McDonald's. Well, alleged breakfast. Although the employees could eat in the lobby, we couldn't, and they threw us out. And that was it. We got a good chuckle out of that. Okay, so this is a little easier. It doesn't have quite so much reflection on it. Again, the magenta is not so prevalent against the dark. And the chroma gilt is not really a grain filler like an accent paste is, or a liming wax or anything like that. So it doesn't really pop out as much. And on this end, you can't you can't see so much in the end camera, Let me see what does it look like in the overhead now. If I move that out of the way. I want you to see this. So this is got silver in the grain, and it's not overly lit. But I'm gonna spray a little satin on it. And this is violet dye on oak with Viking silver chromogilt used as a grain filler. And I know you can't hardly see that. I can see it really well right here in front of me. In person, the cameras just don't do it justice. Okay, so there's what we have now. You know how I like to experiment. I'll take a chance. I'm always one to take a chance. I just told you that chromogilt is not a good grain filler. But we've got this sticky surface, right? We've got a sticky surface of lacquer on here. So what happens? Nick Agar will kill me for doing this. What happens if we just decide to put some chromogilt on there, onto that sticky surface? Let's see here. Copper. I'm looking at what I've got in my drawer. Brass. Saxton gold. I'm going through all my samples here. So this is the gold pearl. Let me scratch off here. I know you can't see me. I hope you can't see me. Yeah, you're looking at the end camera. All right, so for yucks and fun, because I have that other surface there now, I'm going to try a little experiment. And I'm going to take some gold pearl, over top of that magenta, just completely over top. All right. Put on a disposable or destructible glove, depending on how you want to look at it. These gloves are virtually self-destructing. And I'm going to put it between my thumb and my finger. And I'm going to let it spin, I think. I'm trying to decide how I want to go about this. I can put it on not spinning. So what I might do would be to take and cut a line with my parting tool. But I just want to see how this gold contrasts. This is really what I was about, was trying to see how the gold contrasts against that brown. I typically will use things not the way they're intended. It's one of my traits, good or bad. And I just want to see what this color looks like against that brown. Because if I like it, I have an idea. Don't shoot me, Nick. I'm just having fun. Okay, so I'm going to try something here. Need a tool rest. Where's my time? 12:46. Okay, I still got a little bit of time to keep monkeying with this. That's not the way it's intended to be used, but that's just how I like to experiment with stuff. Put on another super fancy glove. And I'm going to take a different color now. These gloves are the absolute worst. Again, I have been known to make some really ugly things in my experiments, but then again, I have a lot of fun. So this is copper. This is Celtic copper over top of the gold. Which kind of makes for an interesting center now. So we had a magenta center before. I cut that line just to get myself a hard edge there. which I could come back in with a marker and color. One of the things that Nick is doing with this chroma gilt with the textures, and Nick, I say, it's Nick Agar, he'll texture and he's layering multiple colors, but he's brushing it down into a deep texture. And I'm doing this, and he does it wet, and I'm doing this wet. And now I'm really going to tempt fate. I just can't stand myself without tempting fate. So my dad says, yes, I like that too, but now I'm going to totally mess it up. I'm just going to screw it up totally by taking a whole different color just because I'm me. Again, I turn it all away. This is how I figure out what looks cool and what doesn't. Different ideas. So many of these pieces that I play with are they're test platforms. They're concept cars, if you will. And I know you guys are going to think that I am absolutely crazy. And I am. There's no doubt about it. I'm certain that I'm certifiable. And that's all right. What are you doing? You're putting blue streaks on it. Oh, me, yes. Have to play and experiment. Touched, Mark. I've been hitting the head with a hammer. I kind of want these not spirals, but I kind of want these circular patterns with this blue a little bit. I mean, that's what I'm getting, obviously, but I knew I would get it with it spinning like this. And so if I pull the blue down through the copper and open up the gold, remember I put the gold on first? So now if I push my finger, I'm pushing down really hard with my finger. So you see how those three colors start to combine? They're not fully combined yet. And as you know, they dry, they have different effects. So then I'm going to take this again. It's just pure releasing that inner creativeness. And I'm just taking a paper towel and pulling across all of this. And I'm pushing really hard. And basically blending and wiping off And so now it starts to have the look of a platinum record album kind of thing going on. it's much more blue here, and it kind of goes out to a gold, and that bronze copper is still in there. So you could experiment and play with that all day long. All day long. And now, since I'm really just goofing around at this point, this is getting pretty dry because I'm rubbing it so hard. If I just take some of that off the paper towel and transfer it out here onto it, our wood, our brown, we pick up a little bit of highlight in there, and I don't want a ton. I just want a little shimmer almost of something. And what I'm tempted to want to do is mix these three colors on a palette, on something like the bottom of this really bad set of latex gloves. So here's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to put you in the overhead. I'm going to put on some gold pearl. I know it's absolutely insane. Some Celtic copper. And that blue, because we've got these all these colors. All right. And I may totally mess this thing up. But that's okay. That's what they made sharp tools for. All right. Now I'm not. My goal is not to heavily color this thing out here in the brown, but I want to mix these three together. On this Fred's, these are Fred's. Fred's is no longer in business. So you get the same basic color that I have in the center. But I don't want to mix it super well, okay? And then I'm going to take my paper towel and dab it and then rub it away so I don't have a lot. And then I'm going to come in here over the top and I either make it interesting or I mess it up. Just very lightly. Bring some of that onto the wood. And then I'll take another paper towel that has nothing on it, because you've got those tool marks in there. If the radial tool marks weren't there, you would get an interesting highlight, and it's very subtle. And then there's one more crazy thing to finish off the day here. Where's my alcohol? Not to drink either. I had that bottle of alcohol, and it can't be too far away. Whatever I may have done with it. There it is. So I'm going to take my alcohol, saturate my paper towel, and flood the surface. Again, this wood is really, really coarse because it wasn't really sanded. And this alcohol is actually reactivating that dye a little bit because that dye isn't really dry. I mean, it's dry, but it's not cured dry. I'm going to really be a mess when I go to the Mexican restaurant today. I got all kinds of colors on my hands. And I'm looking for a marker. That one maybe. It's pretty coarse down in there. It's not been sealed, so I may not be able to get this to do what I want. So the marker I chose is actually a teal, which is somewhat similar to that blue in the dye in the chroma gilt that I pulled out. And I'm just kind of looking for that other color. It's hard to tell from afar. And I think I put this on it's on manual focus. So let me change this focus real quick for you. I'm gonna pop up here to the overhead, which shows you nothing. I'll pop to me just for fun. I'm gonna change that camera and then I'm gonna zoom it in. Although you can see pretty well in there what I'm kind of talking about. Make a quick change. I don't know. I'm having fun today experimenting. That's how I find out what works and what doesn't. And this piece it went from looking kind of really strange with the magenta in it. There we go. I'm going to pop this right in there. Trying to get you a little closer in there. And aside from the tool marks again, kind of give you a cross section. Of what I was playing with, what I was kind of after. I kind of got it. Nice chair, huh? Somebody said, "Oh yeah, I never seen that teal chair before." I said, "Well, that's because I had to take a table out of here." And one last thing, we'll spray some more satin lacquer, starting with the outside perimeter. That's what I would like to show you. If I'm going to zoom way in here and see if I can get that resin to show up for you. You can see there's interesting colors. Now it's real subtle, but down inside that resin are all these little flakes. I'm watching to see how that looks there on and you can now, with that zoomed in, you can see the bands. Let me move it over here just a little bit. Oop, sorry. Don't get sick. You can see the silver stripes. So that's the violet on the outside edge, and then Viking silver that went into the grain. And that is all over here. I'm trying to spray this. So those stripes are pretty cool. Silver on that violet. And then that is holographic glitter. And I'm blinded by a light that I'm looking at down inside the resin. There you can see it. Anyway, fun stuff. Again, it'd be fun if I took a brush of teal dye and went down in there and dyed that by hand. What time is it, and do I have any teal? Oh, 106. I'm overtime. But let me see if I got any teal real quick. I may not. I'm curious for my own self. And if you gotta go, I understand. But I want to take some teal dye and pop in here on that little teeny line. Sometimes I just get a little carried away having fun. But then again, that's what we're supposed to be doing, is having fun, experimenting, trying new things. We find one we liked and we're happy. Zoom out of that. What do you think? I had fun messing with it. Lots of things to try. Never hurts to try new things. I'll take this out and turn it flat. Put it in the overhead like that. I really do like actually the center, this center section. I'm quite pleased with that. Well, that's not, I'm gonna, since I'm overtime and looks like there's only me and one other folk in here. Everybody gave up the ghost on me, and I don't blame you. But I'm going to spray some gloss on this. Just because I can. To finish up this little segment, this episode. A little bit of gloss on everything. Just to see how she looks. Well, thank you. You're the one brave man, Ceylon, that's hung in here with me today as I humor myself and experiment and have fun, which is what it's about. I'll get a guy to sand that lacquer off the ways of the bed on the lathe. I'll have my cleanup guy come in, take care of that for me. There we go. Now, this piece of plywood is going to get me yet. Dad, he says he's still watching. Yeah, Michael, so yeah, I spread gloss on it now. It's all kind of shiny. I went from the satin to the gloss. Just because I certainly do like what it does to the, I like that center section a lot. Just for fun. Dad, you're on YouTube. That's why I didn't see you. Drop off at Facebook. You found that YouTube is a much better place. And if I hold it up, let's see. I'm going to hold it like that. I'm going to pop up here. So there we go. Without so much sheen to it, it's kind of interesting. You know. Get the wrong angle, get the right angle where you don't see all the gloss, the reflections and the unsanded tool marks. It's Dwayne says, nice color study. Yeah, it is. It really is. You know, that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm having fun. Oh, George, you couldn't comment. My voice is cracking. Couldn't comment until now. Well, fire away. Make up for lost time. Don't know why it wouldn't let you comment. You're in Facebook land. Sometimes Facebook does its own things. I don't know. I had fun with this. It was interesting. It's educational, experimental as always. If I've got a hand in it, I think it kind of. I want to see it dry. It reminds me of a combination of an old bar saloon and a platinum record hanging somewhere at the Hard Rock Cafe kind of thing. You know, as I look at it, look back in the overhead, you know, as it settles down, it's, I don't know, with this violet out here with the stripes, and then the brown, and I'm not trying to justify it or anything. I'm just looking at it, and I'm looking at it in the camera. I don't know, it's kind of cool in its own way. Hey, that's what this is all about. Is having fun, experimenting. If you like it, you like it. If you know, and there's only one person you need to please. If you're trying to sell it, well, okay, so maybe you got to find something that pleases people. Put a big candle in it. Yeah, that's a good idea. That would be an awesome candle stand, wouldn't it? That's a good idea. My wife loves candles too, because I never know what to do with all this stuff when I'm done with it. You know, you're supposed to have fun and enjoy and experiment. And that's what I do. And I hopefully, as I pass along, you know, what my experiments are here, it encourages you and other folks to try new things. Again, it's a piece of wood. It's not something that is, if you bought $200 or $300 piece of wood, well, then I probably wouldn't do these crazy things. I would stick to things I know that are going to give me a desired certain effect and result. But this was a piece of scrap wood. Literally, it was a piece of oak with holes in it. So I've had nothing but fun. I've got nothing to lose. My biggest cost would be the cost of the colorants. The wood is nothing, right? I've got the resin and the chromogilt and the lacquer. That would be my expense. Again, very little for what I used. I used just a dab of this, a dab of that, and a spray here. So, of course, I'm going to have to get out of here because I've been spraying a bunch of lacquer before it eats my head up. I don't know. I had a great time. It is way after 1 o'clock, so it's time for me to wrap up. Thank you, everybody that was here today and hung out to the bitter end of me having fun. Jump into Thursday night. Come back out here and we'll talk about these kind of things in person in the Thursday night chat. If you don't know what I'm talking about, if you'll join the Spiracraft Wood and Resin Turning Community group page, it's a private page on Facebook. Go hunt it up and join there. We'll let you in. And then on Thursday nights, I do a Google Meet / Zoom style meeting out here. I'm here in the studio, but we can talk back and forth. Everybody's live, and we can have a conversation and a discussion. It's at 7 a.m. 7 p.m. on Thursdays Eastern Time. Love to have you pop in. Topics or whatever people like to talk about. Hopefully we talk about a little bit of Monday methods here, but anything is wide open for discussion. Michael, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I always appreciate you coming in and joining me. I'm glad you like the sessions. Like I say, I have fun, and I hope they're helpful. Well, as you know, if you're a regular, that Mexican restaurant is wondering, they're going, he's late. Where's he at? So I'm going to wrap it up for today. Thank you, everybody. I will see you hopefully Thursday night and then again next Monday out here, Monday Methods. And talk to you soon. Bye now. I'll leave you in the overhead on that cool, funky looking piece. There we go.